Hello everybody, this is TryandWeir412 taking a look at the game Mawdryn Undead, played on webdiplomacy.net. I controlled France. My plan was to form an alliance with England and Germany, the Western Triple, and then move away from them down into the Mediterranean, waiting and hoping that one of them would stab the other, in which case I could choose a side, but until then just continuing to move into the Mediterranean. And if all else failed, if no stab occurred up here, the attempt would be to just dominate the Mediterranean and take my 18 centers from there. So we will see how that worked out for me. I should say before I continue that this game gets fairly complicated towards the middle section because I end up fighting almost two separate wars. I'll end up fighting a war up in this area and then another one completely down here. And so I will do my best to keep it simple and to cover everything, but just know that I may miss a few things as we move down the line. So here in spring of 1901, I am able to coordinate my Western Triple. England and I agree to stay out of English Channel, which you see right here. Germany and I arrange a bounce in Burgundy, which you see right here. And I also am able to coordinate a demilitarized zone, a non-aggression pact with Italy, which includes Piedmont, Gulf of Lyon, Western Mediterranean, and North Africa. I do break that agreement almost immediately. I move my army into Piedmont in the fall of 1901 and demand, having made that move, that Italy not build any fleets. I told him that a fleet build on his part would be an act of war, that a fleet could only really be used against my nation, and that I didn't want to see one. And if I did see one, it would be all-out war. So he kind of takes that and runs with it. He does build an army. So I am able to build two fleets, and now he is really at my mercy. I have three fleets, which I will soon have in the Mediterranean, and he only has one to use to defend against me. So he is in pretty hot water. He does force me out of Piedmont here, but as soon as he sees my fleets and the position that they're going to have, and the fact that he's not going to be able to make it through this narrow strip of land with an army, he essentially becomes my puppet. Here you see him moving as directed, backing up towards Tyrrhenian, towards his home centers. And then really, in 1903, just deciding that he would do what I told him to. You see him turning completely away from me and starting to fight Austria, even though I have all these units just bearing down on him. In the north, I'll just point out quickly, England and Germany not working very well together, and that becomes a point of contention, which will become important a little later on. So we have the fall movement. You see I support Italy down into Ionian, and I follow through into Tyrrhenian. Again, just him doing what I tell him to, which was kind of nice. And then here in the spring of 04, we see the big stab from England up here. England moving into Helgoland, North Sea, and dropping back from Barents to Norwegian. Very upset with Germany, because Germany, rather than supporting England into Sweden a year or two before, just took it for himself. And so England just decides he's going to stab his much larger once ally. This is what I'd been waiting for. I now had the choice. I could either support England against Germany and gain some builds that way, or I could attack England on Germany's behalf and gain centers that way. I don't really decide yet in the spring, even though I knew the stab was coming. I hold off until the fall. You see down here I hit Ionian, and I told Italy that he was to retreat to Albania. He does not do so. He retreats instead to the Ionian, and so I stab him, taking Rome and Naples both. And also you see over here in the other kind of theater, I move mid-Atlantic up to Irish Sea. Really deciding at that point that I was going to be fighting England rather than Germany. So you see fall retreats, Germany ends up losing a center to England, so even though I have stabbed England he does gain a build. And he, I think, was desperate to have me as an ally at this point, wanting to see me as an ally. He continued to talk to me that way and treat me that way, and he does not build a unit in Liverpool to defend that center. He builds a fleet here in London, and so Liverpool is still easily mine in the following year. I also build a fleet and an army, the fleet to fight in the north, the army to continue the fight down here in the south. So I don't take Liverpool right away. I do push an army forward, or sorry, a fleet forward into the English Channel. But I do then, in the fall of 05, move over and take London, also taking Liverpool. I convoy an army up to London, and that is what will end up moving up here towards Edinburgh in the later turn. Also in the other theater, you see I take Venice with the support of Austria, and then Austria moves to Munich expecting my support from Burgundy, but that I do not give him. Noticing over here just a couple other things. Germany losing Warsaw to Russia, and also Russia backing up here in his fight with Turkey. Turkey, who is still just holding on to his original 3 centers. So unsurprisingly, after the builds here, you see in 06, I do lose Venice to Austria. He was upset that I didn't help him into Munich. But I do move this army forward so I can continue to kind of push the fight on that front. Also, you see here Germany's move. In light of all the people he has fighting him around him, you see England forcing his way out into North Sea and Germany moving armies all along this line here, which I really saw as an act of aggression, an act of war on his part. I thought that maybe England, Germany, and Austria, maybe Russia working with them, were banding together to stop my solo, which upset me quite a bit. And so I declare war on Germany. I attack him here in Belgium. I don't take it, but I do attack. And down here you see I try to take Venice back, but there's no way for me to do so at this point. So the builds come through. Austria is able to build a new fleet, so we are now equal, 3 and 3, although his fleet in Venice kind of is stuck on land there to defend that center, so I still have more naval power than he does. And also I realized that Germany was not stabbing me as I thought, and England definitely not working with him. You see England having taken Kiel here from him. So not so bad, and at the beginning of 07, Germany and I call a temporary ceasefire so that he can deal with the English unit and the Russian units kind of bearing down on him here. So I continue to move fleets against England here. I continue to move my fleets forward in the south, but not really sure where my next center is going to come from. I can't very well take Venice, and I would have a hard time fighting my way into the Adriatic with the Austrian fleets there. England makes that easy for me. You see his retreat here to Belgium. I can't really attack Germany at this point. I don't need another enemy, but I can attack an English unit in the German center, which still gives me that German center and gives me a build. So that's what I do. Take Belgium, build a new army down here in the south, which I thought I might use to fill in the Italian peninsula and get a better attack on Venice. But then I notice at the very end of the spring phase, right before the moves came through, that Germany hadn't submitted anything yet, and so I decided that since this was his second NMR, I really couldn't handle having him as an ally who I couldn't count on to actually move, and so I do move in against him here in the spring of 08. You'll notice, and I knew I would miss something, down here these used to be Austrian centers. Russia stabbed Austria, and rather than disbanding these useless fleets, Austria actually disbanded 2 armies here on the mainland, trusting Russia not to stab him again, rather than stopping his fight with me. And also up here I move this fleet back as a sign of non-aggression towards Russia. So in the fall, Russia again, the fall that following year, Russia stabs Austria a second time, taking Trieste and Bulgaria. He also gains Ankara, and would have been in position to take Constantinople, but I do move this fleet into Smyrna, both to get myself a build and so I can support Constantinople, keep Russian fleets out of my water. And up here I do stab Germany. He has come back, but I stab him, I take Holland, and I take Denmark. So at the end of 08, I am in a fairly strong position and am fairly confident of my ability to take the win. Russia poked Austria one too many times, I think. At this point, Austria ready to essentially give up the solo to me as long as it doesn't go to Russia. Down here, I offer to just take Venice and to help him take Trieste back, and then to also support his hold in Greece so that Russia isn't able to come down and take that from him. So you'll see here in the spring, Austria supports me into Munich. I also take Kiel and Venice with Austria's blessing. And with those three, that puts me at 18 here after the spring turn. I am able to support Munich no matter what the attack looks like. I am able to support Kiel no matter what the attack looks like, also Denmark. So I am not at risk of losing any centers except Venice if Austria decided he wanted to take it back. And so I do contact him. I tell him that I will be vacating Venice. I will move Venice to Rome so that Austria won't lose it, but that I am going to take Greece from him because I was assured of taking Greece. You'll see the moves here. There's no way he could stop me from taking Greece, but he could have taken Venice back. So I drop out of Venice so that he can keep that number. I didn't need 19 centers per se. And I take the win. Not exactly what I was looking for. I didn't take a lot of these centers here, which were my initial plan, but things did go according to plan. I did hold on to the Western Triple until someone stabbed, at which point I chose a side and was able to kind of move on from there. So a fun game, a really involved game, especially towards the end of there, fighting essentially two separate wars, but a lot of fun. If you have any questions or comments on anything, if there's anything I missed you think I should point out, please feel free to let me know, and thanks for watching.